Keystone Motel. Wow, okay. This episode follows up with Cry for Help that aired yesterday, and Garnet shows that she's still pissed off at Pearl, and Pearl is trying to do whatever she can to fix things. The story goes like that, and Pearl of course shows that she is really upset, but not as much as Pearl. She's upset in the way that she knows that she made a mistake and that she's trying to do her best to fix it. Any problem can be fixed with time and a lot of work, but this is really riding on Pearl really hard, and also Garnet. Garnet is not even talking to Pearl. Pearl is trying to at least communicate with her and doing work by searching for Peridot on her own, by, like she said in this episode, for 3 straight days, which by gem standards I think it's, what, an hour? and then Greg appears after Pearl is trying to talk to Garnet and talks about the Keystone Motel that is located in Keystone State. I found that really funny, and also how he kind of sensed that there's some trouble with the gems, and he's like, is this a bad time? And of course he invites Steven to go to this motel so he can get some car wash rollers for his job, because he met from an internet guy. That was also funny. And Garnet decides to stick around, like, hey, I'm gonna go with you guys. And Pearl, of course, she's like, oh, that's great, I'll tell Amethyst, and then boom, Garnet just walks out. And that's horrible. In terms of, if it happened to you, you would feel like horrible. You would feel so bad because someone you trusted does not trust you, or nor does she want to talk to you. And oh god, I had that experience once, and it was freaking it was horrible. Yeah, I'm not gonna get stuck. And so they arrive at the Keystone Motel, and these subtle movements before the big thing happens are just amazing. Like these little twitches of the hands that Garnet does when they reach the motel, and Greg tells him, hey, I'm gonna pick the rollers up, can you hold down the fort while I'm gone? And Garnet is left to watch Steven, and like I mentioned, the little subtle movements, those show that she's trying to control her rage, and then bam, she cannot do that. She talks to herself, and then Ruby and Sapphire come back. And I was really hoping to see them again, and this was like almost the perfect scenario of how they would be brought back, about having both Ruby and Sapphire having a dispute, a really bad argument, and you see how they are the greatest polar opposites. Ruby is more sentimental, like not in the oh no, that kind of way. No, I mean as in that she expresses her emotions. If she's angry, she will say that she's angry, and even show that how she is angry. She will move and pace around the room and even speak and scream and whatever you can, and even heating things up, which I thought it was really good that we are shown the Ruby and Sapphire's powers. Ruby is of course fire, and she even says so that she's an ever-burning flame, baby. I found that also funny. And she has a mini gauntlet, which I'm like, ooh, that's how Garnet has gauntlets. But we still haven't seen Sapphire's weapon, and with Sapphire you see that she is ice. She, while controlling her rage, even though she mentions, yes, I am very angry, but I'm keeping my cool. Yeah, I'm sorry for the little Schwarzenegger joke. She starts freezing the hotel room after Steven tries to go into the pool, and when he tells Ruby to calm down with a little soak, she gets into the pool, but she heats up the pool to the point of evaporating all of the water. And when he goes back to the room, Sapphire basically froze the whole room, kind of like Elsa when her parents died. To that similar thing. and she is just keeping her cool, but her powers show the opposite. That yes, she's very very angry and she's trying to keep it in, but each and every time she speaks, a bit of ice spreads, and Steven is like, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll go outside because he needs to go to the bathroom, and he's like, I'm gonna go take a whiz in the bush or something. And of course, Ruby. No, wait a minute, Sapphire. I'm sorry. Sapphire is the one with the future vision, and she's like, yeah, I saw that too. Like, she is so chill at what's going to happen instead of what's happening now, which is something she says later on in the episode. Greg sees that they have split up and tries to talk to Steven. That, hey, things will cool down in the morning. Which, if you are in a relationship, no, sorry, you know that's not true. If you had a fight with someone you really really love, you really care about, and many people think, oh, it's gonna be okay in the morning. No, problems don't go away that easily. You need to talk to people. You need to talk to the person that you love, that you hurt, and that also hurt you. You need to speak. You need to communicate instead of just let things happen, or else the relationship is not gonna work. And in the morning, the four of them have breakfast, and of course Ruby and Sapphire are still squabbling. Ruby more like, like, you think you're so perfect just because you can see the future, blah 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 blah. And Sapphire's like, calm down. She'll soon tire herself out. Don't worry. Like, she's only focusing on what's gonna happen in the future, and that upsets Ruby so much, and that's why her mini gauntlet appears. And like I said again, it's super cute. But the table gets destroyed. The breakfast basically gets on the floor, and Greg and Steven save their breakfast. But Steven, like any other kid, this is what I loved about this episode. About every freaking kid that sees either their parents or the people who they identify as their parents, like Garnet with Ruby and Sapphire, their best friend. Garnet being like a surrogate mother alongside Pearl and maybe Amethyst, I'm not sure. Amethyst is more like the older sister. He then shows that he's upset about what happened, and of course drops the breakfast. That makes Ruby and Sapphire look at him like, wait a minute, what happened? And of course Steven walks out, and and having Ruby and Sapphire chase after him like, wait a minute, Steven, where are you going? And Steven confronts them. He communicates with them by telling them that, hey, I wanted this road trip to be at least fun because things are going so bad at the house, and everything's being tense here too with you guys, with you, Ruby and Sapphire. And that is just so perfect. That shows that, yes, he's still a kid and maybe becoming a teenager soon, but he is expressing his emotions. He's telling them, hey, I feel upset. I feel upset for everything that's going on. And he basically tells them, maybe it's me. Like he said, what was all of this happening because of him? And Ruby and Sapphire notice, like, wait a minute, we were squabbling this problem that we had between ourselves, the gems, and we made Steven feel bad, making him think that he's the problem, and that is just perfect. You know that kids, when, for example, their parents fight, they feel like they are the problem, and that's what happened with Steven when Ruby and Sapphire were fighting. And that's just perfect. Like, it shows to the parents who are watching this show with their kids that this is what's going on through your kid's head. Don't think that, oh, it's just a problem between the parents. No, it's also affecting the kid. No, sorry. And Steven emulates perfectly and communicates and talks to Ruby and Sapphire that, hey, things were going so bad at the house, and I thought that this trip with you, Garnet, might be like a way for things to get at least a bit fixed and not feel as tense at the Keystone Motel, but oh damn it, sorry. And maybe things would go fine at the Keystone Motel, but the trouble followed them, and he tells them, am I the problem? With just those words, you see Ruby and Sapphire's attitude change. Like, they realize what's been going on when the problem was just between them. It affects everyone. Whenever a couple fights, or just friends, or even family, best friends, whatever, if they fight, that sort of thing spreads. That tension, that trouble spreads, and it affects everyone, not just them. And it was perfect in this episode. And so they both talk it out, and they ask for forgiveness from Steven, that, hey, we're sorry that we made you feel this way. It was our problem. We didn't expect this to affect you. And then, of course, they make up, and Ruby makes Sapphire laugh after she's crying that, hey, I've been so focused on the future, that everything is gonna be okay, that everything's gonna be resolved, that she didn't even pay attention to what's happening now. Dude, even though you have future vision, you have to focus also on the now, because the future will not happen if you do not act now. And that made Sapphire cry, and that's adorable. And fandom, you guessed another thing right for this show. Sapphire has one eye. Yes. And of course, Ruby comforts her and even makes her laugh and calls her her little Sappy. That's freaking adorable. And then they kiss, and oh, it's so cute. But I kind of can see parents, their little red light going, me, 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 don't show this to kids. Ah. But come on, come on. Gay marriage is legal now in Canada, Mexico, and USA. So shut up. This is healthy. This is not what most people think that gay couples are. And I find it really, really healthy, really good, really damn impressive. And so they go back to the house, and you see a little segment, like very slightly, like just for a few seconds, that Amethyst has been comforting Pearl. They've been talking, and I couldn't hear clearly what she was saying to Amethyst, but they noticed that the family is back, and Pearl tries to talk to Garnet, and Garnet's like, not now. She basically tells her that she still needs to think things through and needs some alone time. You can just sense that when she says not now. And Pearl is kind of glad that, hey, Garnet finally spoke to me again, in a way. And, well, the episode ends with that note that, yes, even though the problem is still there, it can be fixed, but it does require time, and I found that really, really interesting. This is a good message to show to kids and even family members who watch this show. Even adults who have like a rough life, they can watch this episode and see that, yes, a problem can be fixed, but it does take a lot of time and hard work. It cannot be done overnight or even with just one talk. It takes a lot of work. And this episode is just amazing for showing that. And what else can I say about this episode? It just feels so complete. Well, sort of complete, because it is connected to Cry for Help. And both of those episodes are connected and feel so good, like together as a two-parter. And oh, I felt like I had something here. And what else can I say about this episode that I haven't said already? I talked about the premise, I talked about the messages that it showed, and also how the characters felt. What else can I say? Here's to hoping that we get more scenes with Amethyst and Pearl, like being legit friends, or maybe just Amethyst comforting Pearl, or even having Pearl talk to Amethyst, because we haven't seen that kind of relationship with them. Sorry. We haven't seen that kind of relationship with them. Yes, in the past, you see that, okay, Pearl is very, very, kind of like a nutritional sibling, like older sister to Amethyst in the past, like in We Need to Talk, and the other episode where Greg talks about how he met Steven's mother. And now, with this show, we just see that they are always clashing. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do coincide with a plan, like, oh, I agree with you, and there's no fight, but they mostly clash. And I'm really glad to see that there's a bit of development there, even though it's not shown. It's still like hinted on, and I'm glad that they did that, the writers. And here's to hoping that we get more scenes with Pearl and Amethyst, at least talking, like being there for each other. And I think that's enough squabbling for now. And here's to the next episode. Let's see what happens.